What's going on, everybody? Top 10 Pokemon back in my finest blue to bring you this week's Pokemon card auction recap. Folks, I think this might be the first video ever where we might see more Black Label slabs on this video than we will PSA slabs. Like, that's how many Black Label slabs are coming through an auction nowadays. It's crazy. Not only that, but Evolving Skies and Eevee Heroes, for that matter, the sealed product, some of the graded cards are making some huge moves. So stay tuned for all that and more. I really appreciate you watching these each and every week. Today's episode is brought to you by Z&G Emporium eBay Auction Consignment Services. Now, after you watch this video, all right, go check out zngemporium.com for details on how you can submit your graded Pokemon cards for auction. Folks, they do it all. They scan, list, and ship your graded Pokemon cards for just about the same rate you'd be paying to do it yourself anyway. Go check out zngemporium.com for details on how you can submit your graded cards for consignment. You ready? We got a lot to go through. Let's get started off with the newest Pokemon card set on the Japanese side. Here we have a Miradon? Not quite sure how to pronounce this Pokemon. It's brand new, but this guy in a PSA 10 sold this week for $499. And then we saw the newest waifu on the block come by. I guess it's this Miriam that sold as a Gem Mint 10 for $565, while a BGS 10 copy of this card sold for an even $700. And then we saw this Miriam right here. I'm not sure what card type this is as far as its rarity, but it sold as a PSA 10 this week for $1,291, and then again for $1,335. We also saw a Gyarados EX. We saw this one last week as a PSA 10, sold for a little over $100. This week, a BGS 10 copy came by, sold for $150. And then we saw the Black Label copy, and it sold for $1,025. From the VMAX Climax set, we saw this Black Label Bronzog that sold for $292. Here is a Japanese Deoxys VMAX. Also got the Black Label, sold for $449. Here is a Black Label Koraidon EX, another new Pokemon from Scarlet and Violet, sold for $640. Here's a Black Label Japanese Giratina V-Star from V-Star Universe that sold for $1,075. We saw a couple of Japanese Black Label cards from the 25th anniversary. Here's a Full Art Pikachu that sold for $449. Here's a Shining Magikarp that sold for $850. And then the Charizard Holo sold for $2,425. Here's another Black Label card from V-Star Universe. It is the Deoxys V-Star, sold for $455. From the Japanese Pokemon Go, we saw the Mewtwo V-Star sell as a Black Label for $445. Here again from V-Star Universe, we saw a Black Label Mew that sold for $610. And then we saw a couple of English Black Label cards. Here's a Radiant Jirachi from Silver Tempest, sold for $370. From Vivid Voltage, we saw a Rainbow Rare Full Art Bia Trainer card, sold for $460. And then back to Silver Tempest, we saw this Gold Secret Rare Lugia V-Star, got the BGS 10 Black Label, and sold for $850 this week. This is where it starts getting hot and heavy, folks. Here we have a BGS 10 Black Label Japanese Rosa from Dream League that sold for $4,650 this week. We also saw this Japanese Giratina V from Lost Origins that sold for $4,750. And then here is a Japanese Gengar VMAX that sold for $3,550. And then here's a card we've seen many times, even though it's not a Black Label. It is the Full Art Sightseer from the Tag Team GX All-Star set. Had a couple sales this week, one for $1,625, the other one for $1,734. So this card is looking particularly healthy this week as a PSA 10. Before we get into our vintage stuff, I wanted to mention this card right here. It wasn't an auction, but a subscriber of mine sent it to me, so I wanted to include it. It is this Lugia EX promo from Black and White that was listed for I'm not sure how much, but ended up selling for $1,500. So congratulations to whoever bought this. It's a phenomenal looking card. I hope you enjoy it. All right, on to some vintage cards. Here we have a CGC10 Brock's Rhydon from Gym Heroes. First edition that sold for $516. Here's a PSA 10 first edition Holo Erica's Dragonair Also from Gym Heroes, it sold for an even $800. And then from Gym Challenge, we saw this Rockets Mewtwo in PSA 10 sell for $960 this week. A couple of reverse holos from Legendary Collection came by that were very noteworthy. Here's a Dark Dragonite in PSA 10 that sold for $780. This reverse holo Flareon sold for $1,079 US. And then the reverse holo Snorlax sold for the most at $3,046. Up next, we saw a BGS 10 Pristine Holographic Black Star Promo Mew from the WotC era. Sold for $2,565. A couple of interesting EX cards. Here's a holographic Muck from Aquapolis. Sold for $598. This is probably my favorite rendition of Muck. I really like it a lot. We saw a couple of Skyridge evolutions come by. Here's a holographic Jolteon, sold for $543, while this holo Flareon sold for about $949 this week. A couple of old school EX cards. Here's an Articuno EX from Fire Red Leaf Green, sold for $566. Here's a Rockets Zapdos EX from EX Team Rocket Returns that sold for $866. Along with this Rockets Snorlax EX that sold for $2,650. So Snorlax is really killing it this week. From EX Unseen Forces, here's a Ho-Oh Holo in PSA 10 that sold for $837. Here we saw the Dragonite EX from Dragon Frontiers sell for $1,601. And then we saw two Charizard Holos from EX Power Keepers come by. One sold for $1,625. The other one sold for $1,675. From Platinum Series, we saw a Giratina Holo come by and sold for an even $800. And this is very interesting, folks. It is a Regional Championships Staff Umbreon card. Population 12 PSA 10s that sold for $3,169 US. All right, I have a little segment here that is dedicated to Evolving Skies and Eevee Heroes. The Evolving Skies booster boxes have been sneaking up in price quite a bit. Here's an auction of one that sold for $367, while a Japanese Eevee Heroes booster box sold for pretty close to that at $355. However, the Moonbreon VMAX wasn't nearly as close as the sealed product in terms of English and Japanese. Here's an English Umbreon VMAX that sold for $980 this week, so very close to getting back over the $1,000 range again. But then we saw the Japanese version sells at PSA 10 for $2,475. We also saw a Black Label Glaceon VMAX come by this week that sold for $2,190. However, a Japanese Black Label Sylveon VMAX blew the Glaceon out of the water, as this one sold this week for $5,682 US. On to some interesting auctions from PWCC. We saw a first edition holographic Rainbow Energy from Rocket Set. Sells at PSA 10 for $1,110. Here's a CGC 10 first edition Kangaskhan holo from Jungle Set that sold for $1,950. We saw a Charizard holo from Boundaries Cross come by that sold for $1,140. And then we saw another first edition PSA 10 Dark Magneton from Rocket Set. This is the second one we've seen within 2 weeks. This one here sold for $4,920. All three of the original Evolutions came by. Here's a first edition Flareon holo that sold for $1,860. The Jolteon here sold for $2,640. And the Vaporeon whooped them both, selling for $7,800 this week. Up next is the Japanese promo Birthday Pikachu that in PSA 10 sold for $5,040. Here from Japanese vending, we saw a Misaki promo Alakazam holo in PSA 10 that sold for $5,280. And then we saw a few insane auctions from Golden Auctions this week. A couple of base set holos. Here's a first edition Poliwrath, sold for $5,100. The first edition Magneton sold for $5,713. The first edition Ninetales sold for $7,213, while this Hitmonchan sold for $8,400. And then we saw the first edition Gyarados sell for $9,013. Here we saw a PSA 6 Japanese promo University Magikarp card sell for an even $9,000. Here is a Crystal Charizard from Skyridge that sold as a Gem Mint 10 for $9,613. Here's where it gets crazy. We saw a 2016 20th Anniversary Festa Participation Prize card featuring all the starters on there that sold for $32,520 this week. We also saw a BGS 9.5 First Edition base set Charizard sold for $38,401. And then the auction of the week you have to give to this PSA 8 Trophy Kangaskhan that sold for a whopping $70,801 this week. Which concludes our auction recap. Thank you so much for watching. Please give the video a like on your way out, and don't forget to be a subscriber if you're not already. I would really appreciate it. That's all I got for you, folks. Thank you for tuning in. I'll catch you later on.